Welcome to the Language Portal podcast. Today I have Kristen Valus with us, and Kristen is going to do the May forecast for us. And Kristen is an astronumerologist, and she is also the co-author of Sacred Wisdom, a book that we collaborated on together. It was a um, beautiful work, and I love working with Kristen. I'm so pleased to have her come on and do the forecast. So I am going to give that over to Kristen and tell us what we're in for the month of May.
Thank you so much, Pamela. I love working with you as well. So May is going to be an interesting month. It'll be a very different flavor than April in a lot of ways. It's not going to have the same type of intensity, but it will have a different intensity to it, with a little bit of reprieve here and there. So that's the good news, is that we'll be able to at least come up for air a little bit during the month of May. We certainly didn't have that in April. And the core theme, I would say, is persistent unfolding pressure to evolve. It's about pressure revealing limitations, limitations opening to what's possible, and possibility expanding our perspective. So that's really kind of what May is about in a nutshell, but we'll go into more detail and what that means for you and how you can work with the energies. So it's not a regular month. It's got two full moons, which is interesting because not only does it have two full moons, but they bookend the month. One's on the 1st, one's on the 31st. So that's a very interesting month right there. And then we've got Pluto retrograde beginning. Uranus just moved into Gemini today when we're recording this on April 26th. And we are in a one energy year, which is about new awareness, new ideas, new beginnings. And the month of May is going to be a 6 energy month. So we calculate that in numerology by taking the month number. So it's the 5th month of the year. So you take the 5 plus the energy of the year, which 2026, if you add 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6, you get 10. And you reduce that to 1 plus 0 is 1. So it's a 1 energy year. So you add the 5 and the 1 together for the month of May, and you get 6. So that's how we get the 6 energy month this year for the month of May. So those monthly energies shift every year, and that's how we calculate it. So it's going to be a 6 energy month, and it's the 5th month of the year. So both numbers are going to be present in the energy, because if you do the energy grid for the birth chart of each day, you're going to have 5 for May in every chart. So the 5 and the 6 and the 1 all are playing big themes this month. So it's not a clean slate kind of one energy year, which is what I want to talk about first, is the one energy year. So most people misunderstand the one energy year. They think, oh, everything's instantly new. We get to try new things. It's easy. It's fun. Yeah, but it's not all new. It's a year where you get new awareness that keeps revealing what still needs to be cleared, because as you have new intentions, as new awareness comes in, which is all about that one energy, then the universe is like, okay, well, if these are the things you want, then you need to clear this out. So you set the new intention, the awareness comes in of what doesn't match, and then it's like, okay, well, you got to clear that. So there's a lot of that repeating throughout the year, the pattern of awareness, clearing, awareness, clearing, awareness, clearing, right? So it's not exactly like, some people are like, well, wait, we already finished the 9. That was the clearing completion energy. But because you're getting these new awarenesses as you set these intentions, that's why there's continual clearing through a one energy year. So and it makes sense because we're in this cycle that starts this new 9-year cycle for us. And what we're doing this year is setting us up to move through that 9-year creation cycle. So yes, we're setting our intentions, and then we have to clear the stuff that's in the way of those intentions. So we're choosing right now what we want to create in the next 9 years, but as things become clearer, new stuff has to come up to be released. And we're seeing that in the collective too, right? Because we're starting this new cycle, and we're seeing a lot of stuff come up and go, okay, this isn't working anymore. Like we're moving towards this, and this is the old system that doesn't work. And so we're still continuing to see the collapse of those old systems going through. And then traditionally, the five and the six can feel like conflicting energies. So the five wants change, freedom, movement, choice, flexibility, but the six wants harmony, family, and friends around, love, responsibility, continuity, and integration. But spiritually, they actually work together more gracefully because the five brings in compassion, choice, and curiosity, expanding consciousness, belief in unlimited possibilities, adaptability, and emotional awareness. And then that six brings in the harmonization, the integration, the mental processing, love. And anytime you bring love into something, it helps you integrate it and move forward. Family and community, karmic balancing, purpose expression, and legacy. So instead of like seeing this as change versus stability, the spiritual interpretation is more like awareness rises, choices are made, and then those choices need to be harmonized. So that's kind of what's happening this month: awareness, change, and harmonization. So we're also at the six energy. So if you look at this from a different perspective, we have the 369 cycle. If you know about Nikola Tesla, the 369. So the 369 cycle, May is the 6th point in that pattern for this year. So February was the 3 energy month. That was amplification of the clearing. Because if you remember February, and I'm sure everybody does, because it was a very difficult month, that's when we started eclipse season, the first eclipse season of this year. And that was a really intense clearing. We were still clearing stuff from 2025. And so that was the amplification happening in the 369. Now May is 6th month. That's the harmonization of everything that's built up until now this year. All that eclipse season energy, and then the new foundations we started putting into place in April. Now we're harmonizing it in May. And then August is when we'll be in that 9 energy month. That's when we reach that completion and transformation portion of the 369. So it's interesting because this whole spring and summer is really about this harmonization and moving things forward period as we reach into August and get to that completion and transformation cycle. And that's when I think it'll be a little more clean after that in terms of the new coming in, and maybe starting to even see some resources show up towards the end of the year, as we enter that 2 energy year in 2027. But I just wanted to kind of give you a little overview of where we are in the cycle, because the 3, the 6, and the 9 are the key points in the cycle where the amplification, harmonization, and completion actually happen in the cycle. And so that's where we are in May. So, this is really important to understand if you want to understand about how we're actually creating and moving through divine timing. The other thing I want to say about the 6, since it is the 6 energy month, the 6 can be a very karmic number. So it can bring up karmic patterns from this life or even past lives. And the Scorpio full moon at the beginning of the month and the Pluto retrograde that we're going to talk about both support this, because they're bringing up hidden, old, buried material to the surface. And the 6 is coming in and asking for karmic balancing, restoring right relationship between things or people, harmonizing what's been distorted, integrating what's being revealed. So it's about pattern recognition and bringing things into balance. And 6 is also an expression of purpose and kind of like that legacy that you want to leave the world. So that's also coming up for us this month, and it has been at the whole year really has been about getting more in alignment with our purpose, but in an interesting way through this new intention, through this new clearing, through these new awarenesses, right? So it's been different than it has in previous years. And this is really about what is getting carried forward through love, care, relationship, responsibility. And, you know, the karmic imprint that's been there, are we going to clear that? Are we going to keep that moving forward? So, this is the month where we're really deciding. And I think with two full moons, it's pretty obvious that we're clearing things out. We're not taking the old stuff with us unless it's serving us. But if it's not serving us anymore, it's got to go. And that's really what those sixes are about. Then the other thing I want to mention before we pause here is the collective Mars season. So we started the Mars season. We've been in it for all of April. We're going to be in it again all of May until June 7th is when we switch into our collective Jupiter season. What this means is, so in the Book of Life numerology, we have 7 seasons throughout the year, and they're moved through with the planets. And we go from Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And so we are in our Mars season of the year. Each season lasts 52 days, not 52 weeks. That'd be the whole year. 52 days. And so we will finish our Mars season on June 7th. So the entire month of May, we're still in Mars season. What does this mean? It means that we've still got this Aries fire present because Mars rules Aries. But the Aries stellium is waning, but we still have that take action, that fiery energy, a little bit more short tempered, right? But it'll be less pronounced than it was in April because we had all those planets in Aries in April on top of that. But there will be movement. We're, being asked to take responsibility because Mars is always about self-responsibility, driving forward, engaging with life. It's very active planet. It's very masculine outward energy. So that's still present throughout the month of May. It's not a passive month again, and that's why I say, even though we have the 6, which is usually a little calmer, a little more, inner integration, gives you time to breathe. We're not going to have a lot of that this month. We'll have some pockets, but not a lot because we are going to be in that Mars season. So that's kind of what I wanted to just set up the month as before we jump into the specifics. And I just want to pause here and ask Pamela how all of this is landing, if you have any observations or anything you want to share about this.
Yeah, I love this. So when you said that the month is bookended with the full moon, and that means it's a blue moon, right? And blue moon is when there's 2 full moons in a single month. And so I think that's significant. And then also just being able to connect with the energies of the 5 and 6 together. And then also explaining about the 369, like that's really helpful. And I know you'll say more about that. But so for people who are listening to this, and so the Mars is this collective energy, but then we also have our own individual season too, right? So for example, my birthday's in May, so I'm starting a new season.
Mhm.
So that means that, and the first one is Mercury. So that means that I'm in Mercury, but also in Mars, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it gets a little complicated. And so we're working with not just the collective energies, but we're working with our individual energy and how we respond to what's going on collectively. I think that that's my interpretation of that part of the conversation.
Absolutely. And if you don't know your own seasons and where you land in things, that's when getting a reading from someone like me who does the astronumerology can be really helpful because, understanding where you are in your divine timing versus where the collective is, and then being able to layer those together because we are part of the collective. So you can't just look at one or the other. You have to look at how they layer. I'm in my personal Mercury season right now as well. I just had my birthday in April. So I'm layering that over the collective Mars right now. And it's a different flavor than if you were born in January and you have the same seasons that match up with the collective seasons. You're going to have a very different experience. Other people, like somebody born in, a different month, might be in their Saturn while we're in our Mars, or they might be in their Neptune while we're in our Mars. So there's all these different layers that you have to look at and what that means for you as an individual, and how you navigate the timing of things. Because I talk about the collective when I do these forecasts because it's for everyone. But yeah, when you bring in your individual chart, that's going to change the flavor quite a bit usually. And and it's helpful to have that extra layer. But even if you just follow the collective energies, you're still going to be on path with kind of what's going on and what you need to be doing. It's just that extra personal layer. It does add something very important to it,
Yeah.
so that you don't feel like if it's your Neptune and everybody else is like, doing all these really big forward movements, and you're in your Neptune when it's your dream time and it's your time to, you know, visualize and imagine and do all of that. Well, that's your action in your Mars, right? In the collective Mars, if you're in your personal Neptune, your actions are going to be doing those Neptunian type of flavored actions. It's not going to be, oh, I'm starting my business today, because that's different. That's something you would do in a different season. So, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
I love that, and I love that you are able to work with me and be able to guide me through this, like
Yeah.
personal perspective. But then I love how important it is for us to have the collective reading as well, so that because we can often think, like what you said was, and what I heard was that we can feel like we're doing something wrong,
Yeah.
and the collective, when we're in a different space of taking different action than what the collective is, right? And there is no wrongness of any of this. It is about being able to navigate your own emotional and mental stability, right?
Absolutely. And the thing is, here's where people start feeling like they're doing something wrong when their personal chart doesn't line up with the collective perfectly. It's when you compare and judge, right? That mirror of compare and comparison and judgment kicks in, and you're like, "Oh, they're doing all that. I'm supposed to be doing that too." And it's like, "Well, maybe not." It depends on when you were born and where you are in your cycle. So, that's where, it's important not to compare yourself with other people, because, you may be in a completely different portion of your divine timing cycle than someone else is. And you may be very different from the annual collective energy. So, yeah, it's really important. And as you understand that, you start to love and accept yourself even more, which is what I love the power of numerology for this, because you really do start understanding yourself better and your timing better. And the more you can align with that timing instead of fighting against it, the more you can easily manifest the things that you want to have in life. So it's a pretty powerful thing, and it's why I love working with this system. So, yeah. So let's dive in to the specifics of the month. So we have May 1st, we open the month with a Scorpio full moon. It's in 11 degrees, and it is on a Five of Spades day with a Nine of Clubs planetary ruling card. What that is like it's the supporting energy of the day. And then it's a seven energy day. When you add up all the digits with the year for the day, you get a seven. And it's our collective Saturn day. So all of that means something, and I'm going to tell you what that means. So the Five of Spades is about lifestyle change. It's making changes to how you're living, how you're doing life in a way that supports you better and the people around you. It's like a win-win for everyone in that respect. But it's your physical reality shifts. This is what this full moon is about. Something needs to change. It may be related to work or health, most likely. It could be related to finances because we are in the Scorpio energy. And that can be the opposite of Scorpio is Taurus. So you look at that and you go, okay, well, there might be something hidden here coming out about our financial systems, our personal finances, where we are owed money or where we owe money. Things like that can come up during this full moon because the full moon illuminates everything. So what has been hidden is going to come up to the surface in any full moon, but particularly with that Scorpio energy coming in, that's going to be a lot deeper. So getting to those truths, and then that Nine of Clubs supporting. So that's about more universal thinking and so that's why I say, again, coupled with that Five of Spades, it's more about making changes that are going to support everyone involved, right? It's not just a personal thing, although it's going to feel very personal and very internal. The changes that are happening, and even if you can't see it clearly at the full moon, as the month unfolds, you're going to see it more clearly that those changes were for the best and highest good of everyone. And, when you're making changes for yourself that are improving your life, they're improving how you experience life, how you go through life, how you're, um, you know, basically bringing more joy and love and happiness into your life because why change things if you don't need those things to come in, right? So that's what we're trying to bring into our lives ultimately. And in order to do that, you are going to see something that's out of alignment at this full moon. That Nine of Clubs is going to help you release some old thought patterns that might be keeping you locked into things that aren't serving you. It could also be letting go of expectations or dependence on others, or even something like AI. What we're going to be looking at more closely, I think, at this full moon of, okay, am I still thinking for myself? Because this is something I've been playing around with AI for a while now. And, where do you draw the line between what you let it do for you and help you with versus thinking for yourself, tapping into your own intuition, and really like making sure that you're not losing yourself in it or you're not getting lazy in it and letting it do all the thinking for you. Because I guarantee you will find if you start to examine it, and this full moon will show you that, where it's making mistakes. And I have caught it making a lot of mistakes. So you really have to be discerning when you use it. And that's what that seven energy comes in and brings in that discernment. And the discernment versus fear, right? So you're not wanting to fall into fear about any of the technology coming in or anything that might be revealed at this full moon about your finances, about money, whatever, whether it's collectively or personally. Trust. This is seven is asking you to trust. It's asking you to believe that whatever changes are occurring at this time or are revealed that need to happen are in your best and highest good, even if it doesn't feel good at the time. And really just trusting yourself and your intuition over anybody or anything external to yourself. Because Saturn is saying there are consequences when you don't do that. You need to trust yourself and you need to trust your own intuition. And how many times can you say that you intuitively got a nudge and later you were like, I didn't follow that and now I regret it because it was right. So this is that Saturn coming in and saying, yeah, there's consequences when you ignore your intuition or totally refuse to tap into it and just give your power away to another person or another thing. And so this is, where it's an alignment check. Saturn is coming in and saying, okay, That seven and that Saturn are like, are you aligned? Are you aligned with your truth? Are you aligned with your authenticity? Is your voice the one being heard here? This, and the full moon is going to show you, put a big spotlight on where you're not aligned. So the truth is going to be revealed about how you're living your life and what isn't working. And you're going to have to do something about it. It's like you can't ignore this. People may try, and they're going to have a very uncomfortable experience if they do. I recommend you don't do that, but I think most people watching this type of forecast are actually more consciously driven and are going to go with the changes and make the course corrections as they're needed. That five wants us to pivot, right? And so when we see what is coming up, it's really going to be asking us to make those changes. And I said, because Taurus is opposite Scorpio, this could bring up issues like stability, finances, pleasure, where you're overindulging or overspending for pleasure, or other physical world issues. Could bring up some health stuff too, because we are in the spades during this time. So, if any of those themes are jumping out at you right now, you probably know what might be coming up. And if you don't worry, it will be presented to you, and then you can address it. The whole month is about seeing what rises up, addressing it, and then, integrating the changes that you're making. So it's a wave of theme of that all month. But you'll see that coming up at this first full moon as the month opens. And Uranus is moving into Gemini today on April 26th when we're recording this. So it's moving into Gemini, and this is going to impact the full moon and how we feel this. And it's one of the reasons I brought up AI, because Uranus rules technology and Gemini rules communication. So that's very centered around this theme. I actually just got the chills when I said that, so there must be some real connection there. And I think that we're going to really re-examine, okay, how are we using this? Some people have been afraid to touch it at all, and they're going to be shown, there are ways that you can use this to your advantage, and it can be very helpful as a tool. But when we give our power away to it, that's when it becomes dangerous. So there's going to be this, six coming in, wanting that balance of how we're using this technology that's coming out, right? And there's also like multiple AI tools that you can use for different things, and some are better at this and some are better at that. And if you try and just use one for everything, for instance, which a lot of people have been doing, and I'm a little guilty of that in some respects, it doesn't work as well. You have to tap into the ones that are specific to the task that you're doing to get better results. So there's going to be things coming up around that possibly too. But I feel like there could be things coming up about energy, because we've got the Taurus Earth theme there, and we've got Uranus. So that electricity, right, could have something to do with that. There can be a lot of things that are being revealed collectively and then on a personal level as well. So Gemini also rules our nervous system. So with Uranus and Gemini, we're going to have to be looking at, do we have methods for calming our nervous system when it gets charged, which is pretty much all the time in the world we live in right now. So how do we deal with that? How do we calm our nerves down when they're totally triggered on? And they're in fight flight most of the time. So, what can we do? What changes do we need to make at this full moon in our lifestyle so that we can calm our nervous systems down, so that we can actually be healthier, be happier, be more at peace? That six wants the peace to come in, right? So these are all just possibilities that might come in with this full moon, because it is so close to the transit of Uranus moving into Gemini. That's going to have a big impact there. It's not just like, oh, the planet moves on today and then it's like, yeah, we're in the new energy. We're still going to be integrating this new energy, really feeling into it. We had a little taste of it last year, but this is going to be with us for a very long time. years and years to come. And so we need to start to acclimate to it. And it's going to bring in a lot of big changes for us. That it's, coming into say too, Uranus and Gemini, it's working with that five energy that I was talking about earlier. There are more possibilities than we've been considering, that we've been open to. And Uranus wants an open mind in Gemini. It wants flexibility of thinking. And that five of spades full moon is also going to be, helping us with that Scorpio influence to examine and dig deep. Where have we been stuck? Where have we been stuck in our thinking? Where have we been stuck in the way we've been living? Even in comfortable misery, right? I like to call it that, because when you're stuck, that's really what it is. If you're not expanding, you're in misery in some way or another, even if you've convinced yourself you're not. So um, that's kind of what that feels like to me. And as we're talking about the spades, I just want to mention we are in the spades from May 1st through 5th in this month. So we're almost done with the spades for this year. By July 1st, we have the last spade card for the year. And by June 30th, we're introducing the hearts for the first time. So we're coming to the close of the spades energy for the year, but it's not done with us yet. And, spades are really about the reality. They encompass every one of the suits. And so it's the reality of your body, your lifestyle, your work, your environment, your emotions, what's actually happening. And it's not theoretical. It's about, you feel it in your life when you're in the spades. That is where the meaning is, where things show up. So, but it's also where movement can begin. And the five of spades is going to bring more movement again this month. So, at this full moon, you may realize I need to move, I need to change jobs. I'm changing up my workout routine, my eating habits, whatever. Something big needs to change. It's a big change. I feel like it's a big change, especially with you've got Uranus and Gemini transiting right now as we come into the month of May. And then right after the full moon, you've got Pluto retrograde beginning, and you're going to feel that at this full moon, even though Pluto retrograde begins on May 6th or 7th, depending on where you are in the world. And that will be retrograding in Aquarius. So I just want to pause before I talk about that and just ask Pamela if she wants to chime in.
I think that was a lot, and I might have to listen to that again, and would encourage people. I will timestamp this particular part, because I think there is a lot of information in there, and that we don't want to skip over it, and just allow that to integrate, so that we can really come into the month fully aware of what's coming, and being able to regulate our nervous system, and then just be in a position of watching and allowing it to come in, and being um, conscious of it. Yeah. hmm Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to reiterate or say it if I didn't, because this full moon is starting at the first day of the month, it is going to create a theme for the month. So, really paying attention to what comes up on May 1st for you, and the day before, the day after, those things are going to really follow you throughout the month, and it's going to be kind of what you're going to focus on addressing. So that's important to note. And then on May 6th, 7th, depending on where you are in the world, we have Pluto retrograde beginning, and that goes through October 15th to 16th of this year. This is about, so on a personal level, Pluto retrograde is about uncovering your hidden power. It's about healing emotional triggers. It's similar to Chiron in a lot of ways, but a little different. It's dealing with your shadow material, buried truth rising to be reframed and repositioned, reconsidered, maybe, seeing a new perspective on it so that you can really live what's true for you in a way that you get to write your own story. You get to frame your story whatever way you want. So you don't like your story right now, how would you like to shift it? And empowerment through acceptance, forgiveness, self-responsibility, and integration. I think those are going to be the big themes of Pluto retrograde this month, particularly. And then for the collective, so you'll be seeing these types of things, themes rising up in the world during this Pluto retrograde. We're going to be reevaluating our systems and structures. That's been ongoing, but it's going to come up more deeply again during the Pluto retrograde. Groups, networks, collective patterns, individuality versus group identity. So this is going to be a really important thing that I think is going to rise up even more than it has been. And then where people have conformed to societal norms or suppressed their truth to fit in. And people are not going to want to tolerate that anymore or want to do that anymore. This is really about, rising up above that and letting go of caring what other people think, right? And even with this full moon at the beginning of the month, I say, that 7 energy is like, stop caring what other people think. If you need to make changes for yourself, don't worry about what everyone else thinks. When you do the right thing for you, that 9 of clubs says it's also the right thing for everyone else. So when you're happy, when you're aligned, when you're in your truth, that is the best thing for the rest of the world. So that's how you meet that 9 of clubs in that. And when you're in that Pluto retrograde, which is going to touch that full moon, you're going to feel those dynamics, right? And collectively we're going to see things revealed, hidden dynamics in these groups and these systems, institutions, religious institutions, belief structures, communities, but not just religious. This goes in medical, this goes into legal, this goes into government systems, all of these systems that have been running our world for so long. We are going to have more revealed this month, which is like, yeah, oh my gosh. Some of us are a little bit burned out by now by all of the big reveals. And there's just going to be more coming. This is a one energy year. That's what's going to happen this year is new information is coming in to be revealed, new awareness, so it can be cleared so that we can create something newer and better. So, this Pluto retrograde's coming in. You can't make this timing up, right? With these full moons and everything else that's going on. It's here to serve us. It's here to support us. And, nothing is going to stay hidden with this. So, whether you choose to face it or not is completely up to you. And that's where that 5 energy comes in the choice, right? Are you going to stay stuck in the old, even though it's being revealed to you that it's completely not working and it's making you miserable, or it's making the world miserable, however you want to look, personal or collective level? Or are you going to choose to change something? So that's really where the choice comes in. You can choose to stay stuck, but you're not going to feel good if you do. This month really wants that expansion of consciousness. It wants that to move through and be integrated. And the more you fight it, the harder life will be. So May 6th, when we start that Pluto retrograde through May 18th is the diamonds phase of the month. So I'm talking about the card deck, the deck of cards that people play poker with. When I'm talking about these different suits, the spades, the diamonds, the clubs, and the hearts, I'm talking about that deck. That is called the Book of Life. It's astronumerology, and it is the system that I've been using to help build my forecasts along with the traditional Pythagorean, more well-known numerology. But the card system adds a deeper layer, and it's just phenomenally accurate. So May 6th to 18th is Diamonds phase of the month. That shifts our consciousness into value and physical world concerns. So we're talking money, resources, support, our worth, and energy exchange. So we'll be looking at things like, what is the lifestyle I'm living now that has been revealed at this full moon? What is this costing me? What is it worth? What's the value of changing what I'm doing, and what would the payoff be for that? Those are the kinds of things we may be examining during this diamonds phase this month. And this is where the financial pressure may really show up. People are going to be rethinking their income, and multiple income streams are going to come into focus. So I'm not just talking about two paycheck earners per family, because not everyone has a significant other. I'm talking about, and even if they do, they're going to be looking at more and more. People are going to be looking at not second jobs, but side businesses, other ways to bring in money, investments, maybe real estate, whatever, because we're in Taurus. So, and Uranus also rules real estate. So there's a lot of themes there around that type of thing. But people are going to be looking for other ways to bring money in. They're going to start to see that the structure that they were sold about the 9 to 5 and the work for 30 years and save for retirement and then retire, like that whole system doesn't actually work. And it doesn't bring joy and happiness, because some people don't even make it to retirement, and then they've worked their whole lives and never had an ounce of joy. That is not the way to live a life. And I think that this is really what's going to be revealed when we're looking at these lifestyle things at this full moon, is like, what have I been sold? What package here have I been sold that this is how life is supposed to go? And does that actually work for me? Does that actually work for anyone? And really looking at that. And I think collectively, there's going to be a big shift there, especially as we get into the end of the diamonds period. We're going to get to the May 16th Taurus new moon. And this is 25 degrees Taurus, so it's near the end of the sign. It is going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern time. The energy of the day with the cards is the 3 of diamonds. And I'll explain to you what that means in a second. We have the 7 of hearts as the planetary ruling card. It is a 22/4 master day. So that means if you add up all the numbers in the date, it adds up to 22. And then if you reduce it, it's 4. But 22 is a master number. It's a master builder. And this is master foundation. It's about that higher spiritual level of the 4 energy. And it's asking us to create something that is in alignment with our higher purpose. This is on our collective Uranus day. So whatever happens on this Taurus new moon is going to be unexpected, because Uranus brings that in. It's going to require flexibility, which is interesting because that 4 likes stability, and Uranus is coming in and saying, nope, this is not stable yet. This is not exactly what we're wanting. We're going to want the stability, but we're going to see that it's not quite there yet. There's more that has to move around. There's more that has to shift and change. It doesn't mean it's not a powerful new moon, though. It is. But it's going to, so Taurus is coming in there, and it's wanting stability around money, resources, than the physical world. The 3 of diamonds is saying, you need multiple streams of income to create that stability. There's new ways to earn your money. That get creative about it. The 3 wants you to be creative. But in the lower expression of that 3 of diamonds, it could be financial fear or uncertainty. So, there could be some feelings around that coming in, especially with that unpredictability, the shifts and the breakthrough energy that Uranus can bring. But it's really wanting to bring in a breakthrough of that fear around money and saying, you can create anything you want, and it's a new moon. What are you going to create here so that you can have the financial stability in a new way? This is bringing in unexpected shifts, unconventional ideas. So that 3 of diamonds is really wanting you to get creative in this energy, and really examine, like, okay, what other ways can I do life and do finances and, bring in resources besides what I've been taught is the only way. And this is, an interesting exercise if you've never done it, is list 100 different ways money can come to you. You will be surprised at how difficult it is at first. And then once you get flowing, you'll start getting some ideas. And then you'll start seeing those ideas actually materialize because you've opened your brain up to the possibilities. But before you do that, you're stuck in these other limiting beliefs of, oh, money can only come to me through these few ways, and that's it. And you'll see by doing that exercise that that's not true. But this is what this energy is about, right? It's about really getting creative and going, okay, there are infinite number of ways that money can come to me. So what are they, and how can I open up and tap into them? And the biggest way you can do that is by realizing that that is possible, like shifting your beliefs, shifting your ideas. That Seven of Hearts supporting is very, there's an emotional component to this new moon, even though it's grounded in that Taurus energy. It's, are you going to be in fear and emotionally attached to things, or are you going to detach and trust and let go of needing anybody's approval? This is again the same theme because that seven came in at the full moon at the beginning of the month. It's coming in again now, trusting yourself over other people, right? And then that 22-4 master builder energy, long-term structure, something's going to stick that you put in place today, but you just may be surprised at how it comes through. It might not be what you expected. It's about new ways of creating stability that are opening, but they don't quite feel stable yet. But it's like you're initiating it now because it's the new moon. And this is where, we are in this mid-month integration. So this is more of the harmonization phase of the month that I was talking about. This is when things are shifting and they're not fully settled, but you're integrating it at this point. So it is a new moon, it's new energy, it's initiation, but there's this awareness, that, and then the change and the harmonization is still coming through this. So does that land for you, Pamela? How are you taking all that in?
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to land on something too that you said earlier when you were talking about the expansion of consciousness and you were asking some questions, what is this for and what is this costing me? And really understanding that this is whatever is happening is for me, is for the individual, and it's for the collective. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then after this new moon, we move into May 19th to 31st. That's the clubs phase of the month. And it is the first month, I think I mentioned this earlier, that we have all the clubs cards present from the deck. So as you cycle through the year, the cards shift and you start to have less spades and more clubs, and then you move into the hearts and you start to lose some of the diamonds. And so there's a shifting that progresses throughout the year, and it's the same every year. So during this phase of the month, this will be the first month of the year that we have all of the clubs cards present, king through ace. This means we're moving into a more mental period of the year where it's a big focus on the mind, on thinking, on beliefs, perceptions, our understanding of things, how we communicate. The clubs are all about that. And that doesn't that align perfectly with Uranus moving into Gemini and also Mercury moving into Gemini right about the same time. So it's really like you can't make this stuff up. If you look at any system, you're going to see those overlaps. But it's also about, like, our full mental field is online. So, asking, what do I understand now that I didn't when the year began? There's a lot that's happened since January. That would be a great question to pose to yourself at this point in the month. May 31st, we land at the Sagittarius full moon, which is the blue moon, as Pamela pointed out earlier. And it is a 9-degree Sagittarius full moon. 4:45 a.m. Eastern time is when it peaks. And the cards associated with this, and this is really how I understand the flavor of this full moon, are the Ace of Clubs with the Queen of Clubs supporting the one energy day, and it is our collective Neptune day. So I'm going to layer this all for you and tell you what that means. So with Sagittarius, that's all about truth, meaning, belief systems, expansion, and hope. That 9 degrees is that completion and release and transformation energy coming in again. The one energy day is about the awareness again, lifting up, new direction coming in. The Ace of Clubs is also the beginning, new ideas, new information coming in. The Queen of Clubs is about that intuitive intelligence and that inner knowing. And the Neptune day is focused on spirituality, intuition, imagination, illusion, which can be breaking through illusion, having illusions shatter. So this is a full moon, so I feel like some of that could be happening. Now, a blue moon, and the significance of that is you heard the phrase once in a blue moon. So I feel like here at this full moon, there's going to be a rare opportunity for releasing something, or something might come in that's new because of all that one energy and the ace energy. There's something that doesn't happen often that's going to happen during this time for you. It's a moment to shift your perspective. If you don't tap into this, if you don't fully stay in the higher side of these energies, you could miss some insights, you could miss some opportunities. But what this blue moon is about is understanding everything expands after you've processed through it all. So you're getting a better understanding of everything that you've processed during this blue moon, but it's going to take you into that next month, into June, where you're going to have more time because the six will still be present, just in a different way, to do some of that integration again. This pattern that we're in right now for the month of May is going to continue into June in just a slightly different flavor, because it'll be the 6 and the 7 instead of the 5 and the 6, but it'll be very similar in that respect. At the low side of this full moon that you want to look out for, cognitive dissonance. So because there's an Ace of Clubs, an Ace of Clubs is a semi-fixed card. It can get in the low side really stuck on certain ideas as this is the truth and that's it, right? And so with that energy coming in, if you tap into the low side, you could be caught up in cognitive dissonance. New information could present and you could be unable to process it. You can be unable to integrate it or accept it, and choose, because it's a Neptune day, to escape into illusion, to escape into addictive behaviors, just anything to avoid reality, or just be in the mind, just not like in denial, right? You could just completely shut out the new information. And that's when the low side of the 6 might present too, where you might try and control things and justify it as this is what's right. You could, exhibit rigidity in your belief systems. This could be all about, actually, because Neptune deals with spirituality, exposure in religious systems, in, spiritual authority, group structures, cults, things like that, being revealed. Because again, you'll have that full moon glaring the light on everything, so things can't stay hidden. And this tension between external authority and internal truth could come up. But those are the lower expressions. But the higher expressions, with Sagittarius, brings a lot of hope. So I feel like overall, this is a very positive full moon. and full of opportunity because of that blue moon influence as well. And the Neptune day on the higher side is, really tapping into that imagination, like, oh, what could I create next? What am I letting go of here? What illusions am I breaking through, or are shattering for me? How can I tap into that and go, ooh, this is a good thing? Because now I can see what's really true and I can work with that, and I can move forward into the month of June. So, looking at whatever's coming to a completion or whatever might, come up during this time that might be a little jarring or whatever, look at it as that rare opportunity it is, because it's really going to move you forward and create the space that you need to move forward with your intentions and you know, your your blueprint for what you want to create this year and in the next 9 years. Because remember, everything we're doing this year is setting the tone for the next 9 years. It's not just for now. It has long-term implications. And that's why it's kind of intense. And that's why there's so much clearing happening. The universe is helping us align with what we want. I just want to mention something interesting about this blue moon as well, because it's going to shift the lunar rhythm for the rest of the year. It's going to shift it back toward new moons coming first in the month and then full moons at the end of the month. And eventually, as we move through the rest of the year, the new moons will start getting closer and closer to the beginning of the month. It's going to feel a little more natural than having the full moon coming first. You won't feel it fully yet because the full moon here is on the last day of the month, so it's still going to carry that energy over into the beginning of June, and that'll be again the case for July. But as we move through the year, it's going to move a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and you're going to notice that it's going to feel a little more natural as we move through the year. So it's just a transition phase right now, not a full reset, but overall, the full month story is the Scorpio full moon, the truth is revealed. The Taurus new moon, we're, looking at our finances, material choices, maybe making some changes or restructuring things because that four is the structure. And the Sagittarius full moon at the end of the month is, really gaining a greater understanding and expanded perspective. If you want to look at it in terms of the spades, diamonds, and clubs, the spades are, really about our reality right now, and the diamonds are about value and worth, and the clubs are about understanding and really shifting perception and perspective. So, it comes down to that pattern that I told you was there all month, which is the awareness, change, and harmonization, awareness, change, harmonization. So it's just this process that we're going through that's going to keep moving us forward. So, Pamela, what do you think about all that? I know I threw a lot at you guys.
Yeah. Well, we'll take it one day at a time, right? But it is really nice to have the forecast for the month so that we know what is coming. And I remember in a private conversation that you guys had, that you and I had, where you had talked about the wave through the month that it was going to keep repeating, right?
Mhm.
The awareness, the release, the harmony, and then I think it's integration too, right? So it's
Mhm.
not just we're going to see that play over and over again throughout the month. You had shared that with me earlier. So I thought that was really, really important. And I think it's a really great place to end, unless you have anything else that you'd like to share.
I think I said is everything that really needed to be said right now. It
Okay.
was a lot, but I feel like it was important to go through a little bit more detail just so that people can understand what's really going on. Because to me, that helps profoundly just to have an understanding of what's happening instead of just getting thrown into it blindly.
Yeah, because we have these waves that happen within us and they can throw us off really easily, right? So, but when we understand that it is all for us and that we actually have the ch conscious choice to be able to decide what it is that we want to create and uncreate, right? Like, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, so thank you. I'm just going to I'll post this up in your community and do some shorts so that people can have the little glimpses of it as well. So you can see that within Kristen's community over on YouTube. So thank you so much, Kristen.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed being here today, and I wish everybody the best for the month of May.
Thank you.